In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you why I don't smoke weed. So I'm going to be sharing with you the principle of bio-individuality, which is really a frame which you should be looking through every single piece of information that you consume. You should be looking at it through this one frame. Secondly, I'll be sharing with you my personal experience with weed. The first time I smoked a joint was like 10 years ago. And the last time I smoked a joint was actually a couple of weeks ago. So in between then, I'd say that it has been a complicated relationship to say the least. I'll be sharing with you my personal experience. And then towards the end of this video, I'll be sharing with you the number one question that you should ask yourself before you smoke another joint, before you light another hit. This is the one question that really reveals everything, okay? So first and foremost is the principle of bio-individuality, okay? That is to say that no one has the same genetic code as you, no one has the same life experiences as you. Therefore, it is up to you to experiment and determine what works for you, what does not work for you. Weed affects you differently than it affects me. For example, I had a lot of difficulty going to sleep when I smoke up, and I hear a lot of people talking about how they needed to go to sleep. Secondly, I used to get suppressed appetite sometimes, and obviously munchies is a huge aspect. So every piece of information that you consume, consider it through the lens of bio-individuality, because what works for one person might not work for you. What works for you might not work for another person. Okay, this is the same case for nutrition, for lifestyle, for mindset. Every piece of information that you get, look at it through the lens of bio-individuality and take the advice from Bruce Lee, who said that you can take what is useful, discard what is not, and add what is uniquely your own. Okay, this is the case with all of the videos that you watch from me. This is the case from everything that you watch from everyone. Okay, seriously, there is a big threat to humanity, which is dogma, which is living as a result of other people's thinking. You're literally becoming a slave to this ideology, to this belief, to this framework that has been installed in you. You never thought about it, but I'm telling you to practice your individual thinking, to practice your freedom of choice, to see what you want to make of a particular piece of information. Okay, this is the case with everything that you consume. So just practice your individual thought and take the advice from Bruce Lee. Now, secondly, my personal experience with smoking weed. So the first time I smoked weed was probably like in freshman year high school or sophomore year, something like that. You know, it was fun, smoked a joint, like having fun, smoked a joint here and there. And the first time I probably bought weed was like probably my junior year, something like that, going. And then basically what we would do is that live by the saying that weed makes nothing to do into something to do. Okay, so back in my home city, there's not really much to do, and other than go out to restaurants and eat. So me and my buddies used to just go to someone's house, roll a bunch of joints, smoke a bunch of joints, just have our laughter hysterics, just laugh like crazy. And it was a good time. Laughing is always good. It's the best medicine for your soul. And just laughing, having a good time, making jokes, enjoying the music. And that was basically my experience with weed smoking in high school, right? It didn't interfere with my studies because we were only smoking during the weekends. And, we're carrying on having fun. And to some extent, it was also elevating my awareness, because I was basically shaken up from my belief system that I had at the time, and, forced to actually look beyond the veil that I thought was me and what I thought was the truth. So definitely helped in that regard. And then in university, freshman year, I was smoking every single day, man. It was the first time I had freedom. It was the first time I lived away from my parents' house, and just every single day I was smoking, to the point where I even got caught in my university dorms, and that was a bit annoying. I had to pay a fee and a fine, but I was able to make it through, because the first year of university was not as difficult as the next year. And then when I carried on my same habits that next year, it was it was a serious wake-up call that I needed to reconsider my priorities, because it was getting in the way of how I was living in my day-to-day life, okay? So really, it comes down to the fact that weed can affect you in a number of different ways. It can definitely have benefits whereby it raises your awareness. It can help you facilitate the conversation with the people around you. There are a lot of benefits, okay? But the most important question that you need to ask yourself before you spark up another joint, and this has really been the foundation of my biggest lesson that I've learned ever since this 10-year experience and relationship with Mary Jane. Okay, the most important question that you need to ask yourself is why I am about to smoke a joint. Because look, it's a tool, okay? It's a tool that can facilitate, like I said, deeper conversations. It can open people up. I mean, some people even get fucking paranoid. I had a buddy back in high school who became schizophrenic from smoking weed. He says it was just weed, but like, I can definitely see why that is the case, because there have been times where I've been paranoid, you know, like thinking that people are looking at me and if I'm tapping into some higher source or something like that. But you have to consider why you are smoking a joint in the first place. Okay, the most important thing is your intention, because it's only a tool until the tool starts using you. Okay, this is the case with a lot of things. Social media is a great tool. You can expand your reach, you can expand your influence, you can reach people that you've never reached before. But if you are finding yourself mindlessly scrolling on the Instagram, mindlessly scrolling on YouTube, whereby you're looking at your screen and you're like, shit, what am I even doing right now? Why am I even doing this right now? And that is when it becomes a problem. That is when the tool begins using you. And in my experience with weed, the point where it was really damaging to me was when I would tell myself that I'm going to stop smoking weed, but I would do it anyway. Whereby there's like a part of me saying no, and then the other part of me, which is my body, which has been conditioned to actually go and smoke weed, goes and does it. That is the point where it is damaging to me. When I don't keep a commitment to myself, regardless of whether it's smoking weed, whether it's eating foods that are not serving me, whether it's spending time with people that are not serving me. The most important thing is to keep your commitments to yourself. And at the end of the day, you always know what the truth is. You know whether a certain activity is serving you or not, but you end up going through it anyway, and then you rationalize, but then you still feel like shit, which is a sign that you were not supposed to do it in the first place. Okay, so for me personally, right now I'm living out in Bali, Indonesia, and they have like a death sentence here if you get caught with weed. So that's like a pretty good excuse to not smoke it. But the times when I have been smoking with intention, whether it's to facilitate deeper conversation with the people that I'm spending time with, whether it's to enhance the experience that I'm having out in nature, definitely increases my sensory perception when I'm out in nature. Whether it's to be more creative with, like, you know, coming up with headline ideas. I remember that was a great one. Like, I'd just smoke a joint and then come up with a bunch of headline ideas which were actually good. Or like writing, I used to write a lot of songs back in the day, and like it was great because they say that freestyle rappers actually smoke a lot of weed because it loosens the associations between their mind, where they can jump from one thought to the next, to the next, to the next. So at the end of the day, just be clear of your intention. Be clear why you are smoking weed. Is it to escape your current reality and just, you know, get rid of it, suppress it? Because if that is the case, then after you get off of your high, you'll feel even worse about yourself. And then you'll want to smoke another joint, and then you'll just keep digging yourself deeper and deeper into the hole. Okay, for some people, weed really smokes them. Weed really smokes them. Weed really suits them, and they smoke every day, and it doesn't seem to interfere in their day-to-day. But at the end of the day, you are your own authority, okay? Be careful in taking advice from anyone. Filter it through the lens of bio-individuality, and be clear on why you do what you do, okay? If you can get clarity in terms of weed enhancing or depriving your quality of life, you already know the answer. Just live up to the expectation that you have of yourself, okay? Live up to your commitments. Don't break your word to yourself. That is the most important thing. Weed, not weed, like, you already know the answer. It's not for me to tell you, but I just wanted to share my personal experience with you in this video, okay? So I hope you got value from it. If you didn't, click the dislike button. If you did, click the like button. But yeah, click the subscribe button if this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, or if you haven't clicked it yet. But with all that being said, this has been Mo, and leave a comment below letting me know what else you want to see from me.